Hi, students. This is Mrs. Sheese. I wanted to go over a concept that some students find difficult in Excel, and that's the idea of relative, absolute, and mixed references. What you have been using has been the relative cell reference. We're going to talk about absolute and mixed, though mixed you will rarely use. The relative reference, which again, as I said, you've been working with all this time with Excel, is a cell reference that changes when the formula that contains the reference is moved to a new place. All right. An absolute cell reference doesn't change when you move the reference to a new location. All right. So think of absolute as fixed and relative moves. All right. Let's look at an example here. So I have a worksheet here that has the amount of hours a department has worked and what their hourly wage is, and we want to know what their salary is. So gross salary, we're just going to say, we're going to put our cursor here and we're going to multiply the number of hours. So we're going to put in a formula equal the number of hours, okay, times the hourly wage. Okay, so we're multiplying A2 times B2. Hit enter. That person made $600. And knowing how you can do your fill-ins, so we're going to take the drop down and we're going to drag it down, and we're going to see that 37 times 1475 equals this times this times this. So let's look at the cell reference. Okay, so equal A2 times B2. Okay, over here we multiplied A3 times B3. Okay, so it's saying it's relative to where it is. So what we're doing here is we're multiplying 2 columns over times 1 column over. Over here we're doing 2 columns over times 1 column over. Okay, over here A4 times B4, 2 columns over times 1 column over. And you can see how that works all the way down. That's what you've been doing all along. All right, that is called a relative cell reference. Now let's look at the second worksheet. Here we have a distribution of grades. All right, how many A's, how many B's, how many C's, and a total. All right, so we say we have 30 in the class, and we want to know what the percentage of A's and the percentage of B's are out of that entire class. So again, we do a formula equal, and the way you figure this is you take the number and you're going to divide it by the total. Okay, so we click that in. So we have 20% A's in the class. All right, so if I was using the relative cell references, I would take it and drag it down, and I should get all the other percentages. Oh, look at that. We got an error. Well, why did we get an error? Let's look at the formula again. Formula up here says equal B2 divided by B7. Okay, so B2 divided by B7. That's correct. We got 20%. All right, so what happened here? We click over here and it's saying we're going to take B3 and divide it by B8. Well, no, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to divide it by B7. Let's see what happened here. I wanted to take B4, yep, and I want to divide it by B7. Oh no, it's doing B9. Why? Because when you look at the original, and if you keep it as a relative, changing where it goes, it automatically says I want to take the number next to me in the B column and multiply it by the number in, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So over here it says I want to take the number next to me and multiply it by the number 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's nothing there. And I want to take the number here and multiply it by 5 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think you get the idea. I don't want to go relative to where I am. I want to always go back to the absolute or fixed cell. So how do we fix this? All right, so let's erase this. And we'll go back up here. And the way you can tell an absolute cell reference from a relative cell reference is you have dollar signs in it. So I'm going to say equal, and I'm going to say B2, and I'm going to divide it by, and instead of saying B7, I'm going to say dollar sign B, dollar sign 7. Okay? I still get the right answer, 20%. Same answer as the relative. But look what happens when I take that and I drag it down. Now I get the correct percentages. Why? Because here this says I want to divide this number by B7. When I come here, it says I want to take B3 and I want to divide it by B7. Notice the dollar signs. And when I go here, I want to take B4 and I want to divide it by B7. I always want to go back to this cell. I absolutely want to go back to this cell. So that's what it means. So instead of taking 1 over and 5 down and 1 over and 5 down and 1 over and 5 down, I want to go across and do it this way. So hopefully you can see the difference. Now, the easiest way, let me erase these again. The easiest way to put in those dollar signs is if I put in equal and I want to divide this divided by this, okay? Instead of me having to go then manually and type in the dollar signs, I can go up to the F4 key and watch what happens. It puts the dollar signs in there for me, right? So I don't have to type in them all the time. Now, if I hit the F4 key again, it'll give me the mixed reference. A mixed reference means I have a dollar sign in front of the column or in front of the row. I don't have it in front of both. So look what happens. Here I have it in front of the row. Here I have the dollar sign in front of the column. And here I go back to the regular relative cell reference. Okay, back to my working on my formula. I'm going to drag it back. Whoops, sorry about that. So equal this divided by the absolute cell reference, this, percent. Put my cursor there, drag it down, and there's my answer. I hope this helped you in understanding what the differences between cell absolute and relative cell references. Thanks.